say anything. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practices Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yahanna. We have been since 1969, and that truth is that the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Indians are the true Jews of the Bible, and the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. I'm Officer 500 from Shikaya, sitting in for General Bmore. Tonight, we're going to be talking about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. What is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding are the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Without the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible, you have no wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Grab the bar down. Can you give me a Wisdom of Solomon, 7 and 7?
Wisdom of Solomon, 7 and 7. Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me.
When you pray, wisdom is given unto you. What is wisdom? Tell me what is wisdom.
Wisdom is the application of knowledge.
Exactly. That's what wisdom is. Read on.
I called upon God, and the spirit of wisdom came to me.
Read that again.
I called upon the house, and the spirit of wisdom came to me.
Who do you call on for wisdom? Call on for God, the Most High. You call on the Most High for wisdom. I'm ready to go. Yeah, what was he having you read?
Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 7.
What's the topic? Knowledge and understanding, sir. What is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? Let's get into the history and the current events. Let's do that right there. See if we can apply some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's not up here.
Let's read this. Let's check this out.
Let me plug it in.
It's split.
So I got this story here in it's in the Washington Post. It says change in how poverty is calculated has decreased funding for a Baltimore school. This is the John Rohr Elementary / Middle School at the Southeast building. I would imagine that it's somewhere on this side over here. Baltimore. 4 years ago, more than 90% of the students at John Rohr Elementary School were identified as poor, right? This staggering poverty rate meant the federal government provided the Southeast Baltimore school with free fresh forgiveness, and a bevy of grants were accessible. Perhaps most important, Rohr qualified for Title I, a federal program that directs resources to poor schools. Next year, rural will lose this Title I status and nearly $250,000 attached to it. The district's method of determining private poverty, which officials acknowledge undercounts children from immigrant families, considers only 32% of the school students poor. So they're going to lose this Title I grant from the federal government worth $250,000 because they changed some calculation method, you understand, of determining who they can count and who is poor or not, or what have you. Like, why would they do that? Their formula is automatically wrong if they don't consider everybody in the district. Like, how could you apply the formula if the goddamn formula don't work? It says more than half of Rohr's roughly 850 students speak English as a second language, right? A proxy for measuring the immigrant population. If half of the students speak English as a second language, then the first language they must be speaking in Spanish. This means they aren't all being captured within the school's count of low-income students. It was only counting 32%, and if you just base it on half of 850, that's 50%. The numbers are skewed. I know the poverty is still there, Principal Mary Donnelly said. It's just not being identified. School districts historically use eligibility for free and reduced price meals as a proxy for poverty, right? So if you get the free lunch, then if your school got a lot of free lunches, you understand, then y'all school district was considered poor. It says families who turn in paperwork outlining their income and need for food assistance, meaning your mama had to go down there and put in an application to get the food stamps or what have you, the free food program. If a student qualified to receive a free or reduced price lunch, the student was identified as poor. Most districts in Maryland still use this approach. But in 2015, Baltimore joined the federal universal free lunch and breakfast program. You understand? They should have just called it the Black Panther lunch program, because that's where it started from. You understand? Jake was on the forefront of changing everything, you understand? Because they saw that they had made a mistake in sending their kids to public school. You didn't beg to get into the white man's public school system, and least you knew why you was poor, because you was being oppressed. You understand? Now they just go and hide the money and mess up the money and don't report the money. Talking about the budget got a shortfall. Meanwhile, if you go and look at their it's called their financial report, CAFR. It's like a CAFR report where the budget has nothing to do with really how much money an organization has. Their financial report is the one that really has a control of what their budget is. You understand? They be hiding the shit. They be hiding it. You understand? Meaning that they got enough money to do all the things that they say that they're going to need to tax you, or programs that they're going to have to cut out. But they hiding the money, you understand, on some off-budget balance sheet or what have you. That's what they do. You understand? Let's read a little bit more. The shift enabled every child in the school system to get nutritious food each day in a manner that eliminates stigma and the need for districts to sort through burdensome paperwork. So instead of you having to go down there and embarrass yourself talking about you poor and you need the free and reduced lunch, and they give you the little free and reduced lunch card, and your friends see you with it, and they joking you to death or what have you, because the rich ones is bringing their own goddamn food, and the other ones that got enough money to pay it, you know, to eat the garbage that they feed in there, is that's what's going on. So it says to participate in what's known as the community eligibility provision, the city had to change the way it calculated poverty. What the hell? What, does that change the poverty all of a sudden? They had to change the formula for how they determined what was considered being impoverished. What the hell does that do for somebody if you undercounting somebody that's poor? Yeah, raise your hand. Say something.
Isn't that still separating class separation by society?
Not in particular. This is for whatever reason they decided that they're going to change the way that they have to calculate who is impoverished or not. Why they doing this, you understand, is a bunch of bull malarkey. The people ain't all of a sudden get out of poverty in a year. So the goddamn formula don't work. Why would you change to a formula that doesn't work and try to make it work? It don't work. It's going to leave people exposed to more problems. God damn. It says officials now use direct certification to be counted as low income. A family must participate in federal public assistance programs. Listen to the evil. So now they all in your business. They want to know if you on public assistance, right? So they just went back to where it was. Like now, instead of the universal or what have you, they done gone back into delving into, you got to prove what kind of plan you are on in order to show that you poor. So they want to know if you want public assistance, such as food stamps. Students from immigrant families are less likely to qualify for those programs or even apply, experts say, given fiery White House rep, meaning that they know all the way up to the White House that Donald Trump is cracking down on Black and Latino families. You understand? They poor enough to qualify for food stamps, but they don't want no parts of the system. You understand? President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigrants and his administration's threat to hold immigrants' use of public assistance against them. You understand? He's going to use public assistance against them and try to throw them out of the country. You understand? When some of the cities have bucked up against the Trump policy and said that they are sanctuary cities or what have you. But just the other day, pull up the story. 12 people detained by ICE right around the corner. You understand? This is all happening right around in these this Allentown area right here.
Gentlemen,
This little southeast portion of Baltimore, a lot of his so-called Hispanic, so-called Latino immigrants are to be found. It says immigration policy is education policy. Ain't that a mother? It says immigration policy is education policy, meaning that he wants you thrown out. You understand? He wants you to not get an education. You understand? Because he's gonna, keep you from eating. You understand? Keep your child from eating. You understand? Because he don't want you here. So he's applying the same pressure, you understand, in the education system that he's trying to, say about you standing on the corner looking for a job at Home Depot. You understand? When you gonna work for damn near nothing and do more work than anybody that you could have paid a contractor, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna rip you off, you understand? And you ain't gonna get the quality of work that the brother, Hispanic or Latino brother, is gonna put down for you. That's why he's standing over at Home Depot, but you wanna bring the ice and try to catch him from standing over there trying to work. Well, who wanna do your goddamn work, Mr. White Man, when you get rid of all the damn Latinos? Because niggas ain't going back to work. It's just gonna be a shooting gallery out this mother. You understand? Maybe one day the youngsters will understand who the real enemy is. I ain't telling them to do nothing stupid, but I'm just trying to tell you that at some point you got to fuck up. Wake up. Huh?
I have a story for you, sir.
Come on, read that.
ICE arrests 12 illegal immigrants in Baltimore during sting.
Mm-hmm.
Officers with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Enforcement of Removal Operations arrested 12 illegal immigrants during a 4-day sting.
So they just lurking around here. You understand? Preying on people. Keep going.
The 11 men and 1 woman arrested were from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Today's announcement reflects the agency's commitment to enforcing our immigration laws in an orderly and logical manner as we experience increasing strain on our limited resources.
Limited resources? What limited resources in America? Who can America feed when they don't want to? You understand? When they want to feed somebody. When they want to do something, they can go to the goddamn moon, but they got limited resources all the fucking time. The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Huh.
And Baltimore Field Office Director Diane Wicks, the illegal aliens targeted for arrest today came to the attention of our fugitive operations teams by way of criminal justice system and by nature of their outstanding orders of removal.
You understand? Meaning that they had got caught up with the law. You understand? They can bust you down for anything. You get in a pinch or what have you. You might have gotten caught up in something or what have you. So they gotta, they let you go, but they say you're supposed to have left or what have you. How you gonna leave when you ain't got no way to get out? You understand? Where were they going? Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. And like the story says, it says that these illegal aliens were targeted. And when we read who they were, the Mexicans and them, and they taking up the limited resources. Well, Europeans are illegal, Koreans are illegal. They take up just as much resources as Guatemala.
Indians are the most illegal. They running around here and Dunkin' Donuts and 7-Eleven like a mother. You understand? All of them illegal, damn near. You understand? They don't never say nothing about them or never go after them. One of them, about 2 years ago, he found out his woman that he worked with in the Dunkin' Donuts had cheated on him, and he killed her. One of them East Indians, or what have you, down there around Anne Arundel Mills Mall, or what have you, down there. He off the one of those snake eaters. He offed her, and they ain't said no more about it. He probably back in India, chilling. You understand? They ain't never found him. You understand? He just disappeared off the face of the earth. That's how many East Indians is in America right now. Go ahead.
The immigrants were arrested for violating the Immigration and Nationality Act. Those targeted for arrest had been issued final orders of removal within the past 5 years and had criminal histories or pending criminal charges.
You know what I'm saying? Petty. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Petty junk or what have you. The charge was probably that you in the country illegal. They ain't gonna say that. You understand? They gonna make it seem like they done such heinous crimes or what have you. Go ahead.
All of a sudden, they always catch the ones who got the most heinous crimes.
They didn't mention anything. That's why they didn't say anything.
Right.
They didn't say a thing about what they had actually done that was so goddamn bad. Some misdemeanor make you a goddamn a criminal, a mischief, make a super predator monster, you understand, for the white man.
It was not too long ago where an African had killed his so-called girlfriend. You didn't hear any more about it. And he had crimes on him. He had charges.
In Baltimore? All right, hold on right there. It says immigration policy is education policy, said Erica Greenberg, a senior research associate at the Urban Institute, a Washington-based think tank. You understand? They know what it is. Get rid of the Native American Indians, the West Indians, you understand, and Latino and so-called Spanish tribes. Get rid of it. This has led to the inequitable distribution of Title I dollars. Principals say it's affecting schools throughout the city at which many immigrant students attend. This population of students is rapidly growing in Baltimore, even as total enrollment declines. The total enrollment of all of the students in Baltimore is declining, but the population of students, you understand, they meaning that they are still growing. The number of Latino students, they the ones growing. You understand? It's gonna get to it. So you're gonna $250,000, just like what's that? Pew, just like Pew done behind. You understand? Sitting on the goddamn board, right? She's sitting on the hospital board. There's a school board too, right. And it's niggas that's sitting on the school board that was looking at all them goddamn grants that's coming through, you understand, and they picking and choosing and, putting their little bid in to get their $100,000 deal or what have you for grants. That's what's going on, you understand? But now, you understand, if somebody was doing a good service, me and you can start up a business, a nonprofit business, we have a nonprofit, go down there and get that grant, write a grant proposal and get that grant, right? And then take that grant and provide a service. Provide a service for these school children. You understand? And their families, right? We could do extra food, a daycare, aftercare. You understand? Many services. I read one story a couple of weeks ago where the cat got a grant and he put laundry machines in the school. You understand? Because some of the students didn't have no way to get their laundry done or what have you. So they came up with a grant to put a laundry together so that the students could wash their clothes whenever they need to. They could bring them right to the school and get them washed. There's 1,000 things that you could be doing or what have you to make the situation better. but since the immigration policy is the education policy, according to Trump, then you understand, he's going to cut them off any way that he can. Everybody got to suffer because he got a blood of hatred. You understand, for the so-called Latino tribes, who he don't pay, but work in all his goddamn businesses. You understand, who he give pennies to on his businesses. You understand? So everybody got to suffer. There's black kids in those schools as well. That's going to be missing out on those funds because he hates your brother. He hates your brother. It says there are 112 city schools that meet Title I criteria for next year, but as several leaders are worried that as their immigrant population increases, they will end up like rural. Already, some schools have seen their Title I allocations decrease, even if they haven't lost the status. Schools do not ask families for proof of citizenship. You understand?
Come.
That ain't none of their goddamn business, and they shouldn't be asking you whether or not you want goddamn public assistance. It ain't none of their goddamn business or what have you. Do you need help with the lunch? You understand? You like. Truth be told, them contracts that he be giving out. Tell you about them contracts. They multi-million-dollar contracts for the food service industry groups that are providing those things. The people who make the food that on your airlines, you understand? Hotel people, some catering stuff or what have you. They making all kinds of money off of stuff like that. One of their biggest things is school lunches. You understand? And guess what? They making a goddamn profit. They making a profit, and they charging you. They still charging you. You understand? Meaning that there ain't no damn near reason for them to pay the people all the money that they paying for the low quality goddamn food that they providing. You understand? And then they still charging you money for the goddamn food. Breaking your little pocket, you understand? When the food is damn near, they should be giving it away. Because they already paid them for it up front. But they squeezing you some more. It says school district officials have committed to taking steps to reduce the impact of losing Title I status at rural, because most of rural Title I funds have historically gone toward paying for staff members. Still, Donnelly and others are concerned that these temporary solutions aren't enough to fix the complex systemic problem. See, that was like, okay, they cutting off these Title I, but where they all of a sudden find the money for 3 positions of $50,000 a piece, say. That's $150,000 a year that they all of a sudden found because they knew they wasn't gonna get the money no more. You understand? They hide it in their financial disclosures. Them financial records don't have nothing to do with the budget. You understand? They sitting on the excess. I'm trying to tell you. Typically, before the shift, about 80% of the students were identified as low income. 80%. Baltimore is piss broke and poor. The people, you understand, as far as that's concerned. The move to direct certification has made it appear as though poverty in a city where the median household income is $46,641, according to the Census Bureau, has fallen district-wide to 52.7%. So 30 goddamn percent it failed. The revised method for calculating poverty also sets a higher threshold for a family's income. You understand? $46,000. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be able to live in Washington, D.C. for $46,000. I'd be living on the goddamn on the street.
Come.
You understand? Somebody come over here and take this for a second. I have to excuse myself for 1 second.
Come. Pick up where he's talking. Schools in Baltimore.
Schools in Baltimore term, you know. We know that the schools in Baltimore, you know, have more money than they say they have, you know. I mean, think about all of the schools, right? They say they don't have any money for schools, but they combining all of these schools together, then all of a sudden you look into the county and what they doing in the county. Build new schools. You understand what I'm saying? And then the schools that they building in the city, the new schools that they build in the city, what they doing? They gentrifying those areas and they moving all of the poor people out. You understand what I'm saying? So on top of moving the poor people out, you understand? They throwing all the immigration laws in. So that's first they Xing out the Judites, they Xing us out, you know, by gentrifying the area, and then they bringing in ICE to move out Isupk.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So they basically what they doing is what they knocking off two birds with one stone. You understand what I'm saying? You got the part down.
Yeah, what's the other name?
Is that
Not that,
no, that's bald head. Bald head, yeah.
Yeah, said a long time ago when we was having big storms in Baltimore.
Speak up, speak up.
We were saying, the governor was saying a long time ago when we was having big storms here in Baltimore, he said, I do not care about what happened to Baltimore City Public Schools or Baltimore City. He said, I care what happened to see what is going to be done. He said, I do not care about Baltimore
Hey,
City.
but think about this. He said he did not care, right? As soon as Catherine Pugh went into her custody, he was the first one to say, pull up that investigation, right? You know, and he said that about what's his name? What's the white mayor before him? No, the white mayor. The one that became governor.
Oh,
O'Malley. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody know O'Malley did the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? What did O'Malley do for Baltimore? Not a thing.
You're talking about Hogan.
Yeah, he's Paul Hogan. Paul Hogan's the governor now. You understand? He never did care about the city.
Larry.
About the city. Larry? Larry Hogan? Paul, Larry, all.
John.
All of them Hogans.
John.
What's a Hogan? A German, right?
John.
You know? Oh, like, you know, none of them care about us anyway. You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, the thing is they destroying Judah and they destroying Issachar at the same time. They gentrifying the area and then they bringing ICE to take Issachar out. You understand what I'm saying? And then what do? And they move their people in. So this is the reason why when you see them building something up new, this is what they do. You understand what I'm saying? When they coming in and they building in our neighborhoods, that means they're coming in to take over our neighborhoods. They never rebuild in your neighborhood to benefit you. You understand? Go ahead.
that's why now at North Avenue here in Baltimore, they got all these white restaurants. They got a movie theater on North Avenue. It never used to really be a movie theater, but
So what does that tell you?
blacks in the same South they can't afford.
But let's go one step further. Look at what they're doing at Druid Hill Park.
Oh yeah.
That water has been filthy for how long? You understand what I'm saying? So now they just drain the whole swamp, right? What are they draining the swamp for? I mean, think about it, right? If your family got to move into a house, right, that was rat infested, and you were renting it to somebody who you didn't care about, and you left it rat infested, when your family to move in, what do? You clean up, you fix it up. This is how they feel about us. This is the reason why the Most High tells us to separate from them. You understand what I'm saying? He tells us to separate from them. And what scripture do we use all the time? Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together. Yea. Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. We are the nation not desired. You understand?
What is gentrification?
Gentrification is the process of them raising rents, raising water bills, raising gas and electric. Now listen, now understand this too with gentrification. Understand this is something that we as as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians didn't really understand. They can raise gas and electric bills in different areas. They can raise water bills in different areas. You understand what I'm saying? And naturally, they can go with rents and mortgages. You understand? They make it so you can't afford it. So we go ahead.
I got a definition for you. For gentrification.
Gentrification. Go ahead. Read that definition.
Gentrification, the process of renovating and improving.
Listen. Say that again.
The process of renovating and improving.
Read on.
A house or district so that it conforms.
Stop that right there. Did you hear what he said? He said, after he said house, he said, or what?
District.
That's an area. So they can target whole areas. You understand what I'm saying? They can target whole zones, you know?
That's a heavy point that you bring it out. So what were you going into?
That was the gentrification.
But I was hearing you saying about how they arbitrarily decide to change the water bills, the electric rates in areas.
A lot of us don't understand that. They can target specific areas when it comes to raising rents, when it comes to raising gas and electric, and especially water bills. We used to actually pay water bills once every 3 months. This is on Southwest.
Right.
And now we're paying water bill, the same water bill,
Right.
which now you're paying it every month.
Oh, they just made it. I know they were cutting off people's.
And this is gentrification. This is one aspect of gentrification. And they also can raise your gas and electric bill, raise it or lower it. So they raise your gas and electric bill enough to where people in the county, their gas and electric bills, or in the white areas or the rural areas, don't pay as much.
Right.
You're picking up the slack for them. This is how they.
All right. Who's going to any more of this in particular? The rest of this story? Okay, so it says Latino populations are continuing to drop in their poverty. School systems chief of staff Allison Perkins Cohen. It's impacting schools who really should be receiving these benefits. That's really a challenge. Perkins Cohen said the district is in a bind because there are no federal guidelines on how to address the systemic undercounting of immigrant children. Keep the goddamn formula the same. I would fix it. But if you want to screw with the numbers, then goddamn, well, what else do you want? State officials say they are similarly stumped. How could you be goddamn stumped? You just changed the goddamn formula. In the education world, few data points are as vital as this one. That's why you're screwing with it. It says the concern about not being able to identify all poor students has kept Baltimore County public school officials from embracing the community eligibility provision, even though it would mean more kids there would have access to free food. Maryland is in the midst of a reckoning over the future of public education. The Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education, known as the Kirwan Commission, has spent 2 years assembling recommendations on how to revamp schools and the way the state funds them. A key part of this plan grants for schools where there is a high concentration of poverty. For those grants to be used as intended, the poverty proxy must be fixed, argues State Senator Bill Ferguson. If we do not have an accurate count of need, it's very likely. So y'all, with all y'all high science, you understand, you talking about you can't put a formula together that's going to make sure that everybody that's in need gets a piece of bread. The white man is the goddamn guy. You understand? There's 4 people in the room. We got a chicken. You understand? Listen, I'll let you have the breast this time. You understand? I'll get it next time. I'll get it dark meat. We cut it in 4. Cut the chicken in 4 or what have you, and we're going to split it up. That's what we're going to do. It's not anything difficult. It's not too goddamn difficult. But these they're getting paid $100,000 sitting on these commissions or what have you is talking about they can't figure out how to fucking count.
Can't figure it out. All that money. They get paid.
Ferguson said he analyzed possible solutions. New York City, for example, also provides free meals to all students, but still urges parents to submit income forms. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to mind, listen, I need help with my school. Listen. What was white people just doing? White people was rich and saying that they was getting scholarships and everything for their children. The cracker wasn't even on the goddamn tennis team. He wasn't even on the tennis team talking about and got a scholarship for being on the tennis team or what have you. You understand? Like, I mean, damn. You know what I'm saying? What form? I need help with my goddamn lunch or what have you. That's the end of it. Do I look like I make $1 million or what have you? I need help with my lunch for my 3 kids. Okay. I'm listening.
And these are the same people that's running it, but yet their annual salary keeps on increasing.
Exactly. They budgeted for them. They budgeted for their high paid salary. Ferguson said, you know, that doesn't appeal to Baltimore officials though, because how labor intensive it is to manage this information. Yeah, it's real labor intensive to manage information when your whole goddamn computer system got a virus on it and you being held ransom. You understand? Because you don't know how to operate. You understand? Talking about it could last for months or what have you. You understand? You better hope they don't get a hold of the grid. They might get a hold of the electric grid. You understand? They might get a hold of the water grid or what have you. They can do some serious, cut out all the goddamn traffic lights in Baltimore. You understand? Shut down the goddamn stadium. You understand? Cut all their power off to the stadium and they can't get the shit back on because it's computer controlled. I can't wait.
I was wondering, do you think this could be a possible way that they could be trying to funnel money out too? With this grid system being down, they can say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they also say anything.
They can say, "Oh, this amount of money got stolen," or something got lost between it.
Of course they gonna try all of that. They spent this amount of money to do this, that, and the other.
And it just so.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It just so happened this happens on the eve of the So this would be a good way for them to funnel money out, or say money got funneled out because of that.
Yeah, say no. What they doing is you hear all these groups get. Let's read this next sentence. The Maryland Education and Health Departments are jointly working to develop the capacity to directly certify students using Medicaid data by December 2020. Like, why would the health department and the public school system be working together? It makes a lot of sense. How much Ritalin is the children on right now?
Wow. Yeah.
How much drugs are they giving the children right now for the pipeline to prison program that they got? You understand? From elementary school right on into goddamn prison. You understand? That's the only reason that the health department would be dealing with they can't get their own goddamn application. It takes 2 seconds to have an application and to look at it.
Plus with everything that's happening, it seems like they're going to be an increasing spike in crime, so they can keep them doing what they want to.
Of course. It makes sense. While this will ensure more students are counted as poor, state officials acknowledge it won't solve the problem of under-identifying immigrant students, given these families are less likely to be enrolled. It kind of comes back to you can't count what you can't count, said Rachel Hyde, a policy analyst with the Department of Legislative Services. In the meantime, Baltimore City Public Schools has changed its fair student funding formula, which determines the way money is allocated to individual schools. For each student who tests at the lowest level of English proficiency, the district sends the school a few hundred extra dollars, right? So is like they paying to keep you done. I mean, I just want to say what it is or what have you. You understand? Won't they pay when you as you improve? Won't they pay as you improve? Not looking at how low your numbers are. So that's just the incentive to keep the numbers low. If you're gonna pay based on the low numbers, you understand? Well, as a teacher, what kind of incentive do you have to make their grades go up if all you know that the money is based on how bad the students are doing? You got to read through the BS. But while Roar will get more money from the school's system's general fund next year, that doesn't offset the losses from the Title I change. Its overall budget went from roughly $5 million this year to $4.8 million next year. We'll watch our pennies, Donnelly said. I've been in the system for 45 years. That's what the problem is. 45 years of mismanagement. I've been through budgets that were very, very tight. It's that when you work really hard and know you have families that should qualify, it's frustrating. Meanwhile, if you look at the financial reports, I bet you they got the money. They got the $5 million, that's only $200,000. You know? I know the school system got an extra $200 million sitting on some off-budget deal. You understand? Some off-budget book policy that they got sitting there. There's no question in Donnelly's mind that most of her students are living in poverty. She's been relishing it for 45 years. You understand? She, like, why else would she be there for 45 years? And she just loved to see Black and Hispanic kids to struggle, you understand, year in and year out. She just want to see how worse it can get. You understand? She ain't doing nothing. Just consider the emergency weekend backpacks. Every week, the school distributes dozens of backpacks filled with crackers, peanut butter, and other non-perishables. Students can take one home if they are worried about having enough to eat over the weekend. It's rare, Donnelly said, there is a backpack left over. This is some backpacks of snacks to go home on the weekend. Thanks to Donald Trump. Let's get one scripture. You should already know which one I want. Time. You can get this other one right here. See that? Get that one right there. That's 33. Read it.
He set up in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places, those who murder the innocent. His eyes are firmly set against the poor.
You understand? The white man is hunting us in our streets, right? Lamentations. You pull that one too. You know where that one is. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and 33. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children
pressed together in this place. 9.5 tribes, the so-called Latino tribes, you understand, and the so-called Negroes, West Indians, you understand, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, you understand, Haitians, West Indians, Jamaicans, Trinidadians, so-called Negro, or what have you. That's Judah, you understand, the Latino tribes, and Gad, yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Keep going.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
You understand? They refused to let us go. You understand? Go free. You understand? Separating us is not letting us. Is not letting us go. You understand? Bringing us together, you understand, is letting us go. Okay. Keep reading.
Verse 34. Their Redeemer is
But
strong.
the Most High lives. Keep going.
The Most High of hosts is his name.
You understand? The Lord, the Most High is the host of hosts, of armies. The Most High of armies, of warfare and destruction is his name. You understand? The Lord is a man of war. Don't forget that, Mr. White Man. You bugging up with just the wrong one. Keep going.
He shall thoroughly plead their cause.
You understand? The Most High is going to plead our cause. Okay? Read on.
That he may give rest to the land.
He's going to give us rest. You understand? Read on.
And disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon.
You understand? And disquiet the inhabitants of this wicked society, Babylon the Great, over here. Okay. All right. Any questions online? What's going on online? Let's see what's going on.
Don't see any, sir. Change it. Somebody spoke specifically to Officer Matham. Must have been when he was up there speaking.
What was the question?
More of a comment, sir. It says, Con Officer Matham. First, my water bill was in the thousands, moved from there, and now my electric is any high, and I'm paying it down. Those are facts, sir.
You understand? She just, giving you the lowdown on how they switching things up. Let's go to Lamentations. Let's go to 4, Lamentations 4 and 16. Done.
Salaki. Somebody said something to you as well, General.
Done.
They said, Khan General, both my princesses were prescribed a series of poisons and we flushed them. The water, devils.
Yeah, you understand? Rub them babies down with some essential oils and what have you. They'll be fine. You understand? Calm them down. Give them some baths or what have you. You understand? Get that man back in the house that you just threw away in many cases. You understand? Let's be right about this thing. All right. Let's get that. Lamentations 4. And let's start at 16.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 16. The anger of the Most High hath divided them.
You understand? The Lord is angry with us, and He divided us as a family. You understand? Keep going.
He will no more regard them.
He ain't regarding us. You understand? If you want to be wicked, he ain't regardless. So when the death angel come for you, you understand? He living in these streets in Baltimore, like it ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't go to who getting murdered. I'm just talking about the school system. But if I pull out a murder every time I come in here, if I go over a murder every time I come in here, we don't see.
They respected not the persons of the priests.
They didn't respect the persons of who?
Of the priests.
You understand? They respect that goddamn homosexual in the Christian church. And they ain't talking about him. They give him much honor and respect and all they goddamn money. You understand? But the real men of the Lord in the I.S.U.P.K, they have respect. They respect not the persons of the priests. You understand? If they did, they would be up in here. You understand? Make it happen. Read on.
They favored not the elders.
They didn't favor the elders. You understand? Men with real wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They wasn't doing that.
Our eyes as yet failed our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
You understand? We watching for America. You understand? Wondering where the funding coming from. Where the funding is. They can't help us. We can't be helped with that. We're gonna have to help ourselves by turning to the Most High. You understand? Turning to the priest. If you turn to the priest of the Lord, everybody will eat. That's what they fail to realize. You understand? Everybody would be housed, everybody would be clothed. You understand? That's what we miss. Anymore.
Come, sir. Verse 18, they hunt our steps.
They hunting our steps in these streets. ICE is hunting us in the street. The children ain't going to school, so the truant officer is hunting their steps in the street. You understand? You get locked up, you understand? The bondsman, he looking for you. You understand?
They mainly turned the truant officer now into a social worker because if the child don't go to school and they cut off from mothers in need of help.
God dang. I didn't know that they was doing that. If you don't go to school, you understand? Therefore, you understand the I.S.U.P.K, what do? You understand? We start a home schooling program. That's what needs to happen. You understand? A home schooling program. That's what we got to do. Lay it all out so that you can get certified through us to provide a curriculum for homeschooling or what have you. You understand? Or this could be open 24/7, 365. It's nothing to find out the rules to get a charter school and get cracking. You understand? That's what we need to do. You understand? We got to, daycare, you know it.
So like this, sir, did you hear about the charter school with the government grant and the pastor that got $1 point something million?
Pull up the story.
Come on,
Pull up the story if you can.
Come on, sir.
We watching for a nation that could not save us. Instead of turning to the Most High, you understand? We thinking that Joe Biden is going. The Democrats need to get back in the House, so all of a sudden that we gonna, everything will be okay because you got one devil. You understand? When all the devils is in concert, you understand? They playing you. Whoever is in the White House, they still playing you. They're your enemy. Never trust thy enemy. Speak up.
That's why the Most High told us about Deuteronomy 17 and 15. No matter who we voted in, they ain't helping our people. They failed us. It said for our leaders have failed us. Mm-hmm. So anybody that they vote in, you are not going to be for us, but their people only.
That's true. Even the Uncle Tom Negroes is running for president or what have you. That's a bunch of bullcrap. You understand?
Like I found it, sir. Baltimore school shut down after winning $1.5 million federal grant.
Hold on, why did the school shut down if it got a $1.5 million grant? And this is just one school in Baltimore. What's the date on this story?
It's very recent, sir, I believe. Okay, this story is
What's the title of the
Monday,
story?
May the 6th.
What's the title of the story?
Baltimore school shut down after winning $1.5 million in federal grant money.
So I don't understand why the goddamn school shut down. Keep reading.
Kind of one kind. It's a prestigious grant from the federal government worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay, well, if they can win this grant, you understand, why can't they get the Title I grants and keep them going? You understand? Like, they talking out of both sides of their neck all the damn time. Keep going.
Charter schools across the country vie for it.
Okay, so this is a charter school grant, right?
Kind of one kind.
So this is not a public school grant.
Lies.
So this is what they be doing, or what have you. They be pitting one against the other, or what have you. You understand? How you going to not get them to and this one school, one charter school, gets a $1.5 million grant, and the goddamn school shut down. Let's read on. We must find out why this school closed down. We're gonna find out something hella disgusting. Keep going.
Kind of one kind. Charter schools across the country vie for it. Just a few get it. In 2017, one of the winning North Avenue.
North Avenue. North Avenue who? Oh yeah, well yeah, the school board is on North Avenue, right there. Yeah. All right. It makes sense what they trying to say.
What project?
Hold on. Why would the school board shut down the charter school that just got $1.5 million? Come on, man, what the hell is going on? Keep reading.
What project Baltimore found in the school's application is raising serious concerns about how hundreds of millions out of your tax dollars are spent in Washington?
He said, hold on. Read that again. $100 million. Keep reading that again.
What project Baltimore found in the school's application is raising serious concerns?
Go back. Read it again.
Go back to the...
No, read that same portion right there. I'm not catching that.
What project Baltimore found in the school's application...
What is that trying to say? I don't understand what it's trying to say.
What's happening is, sir, is that Project Baltimore did an investigation.
Okay, so Project Baltimore is a group.
Kind of one come into why this school just got $1.5 million and is now shutting down. There was a pastor.
Hold on, we ain't got to him yet.
Kind of one come. The pastor.
Wait 1 second. Boy. Yeah, I know. Give me 1 second.
Kind of one come.
So Project Baltimore is some group.
A Fox News channel, sir.
Project Baltimore is Fox News?
Kind of one come. It's a part of Fox News that does investigations.
Okay, Project Baltimore is a investigative arm of Fox Baltimore. Okay,
kind of one come.
Okay. So they found in the school's application is raising serious concerns about how hundreds of millions of your tax dollars are spent in Washington. Oh my goodness.
Is a hard man to find.
Oh my goodness.
Project Baltimore has been to his house, his church, to 2 schools he runs in Baltimore City.
Oh, so he got 2 schools.
Got that one come.
Keep going.
It took us weeks, but we found him.
Oh my goodness, you tracked down that slimy Negro, that snake in the grass. What was Pastor Cecil Gray doing?
We tracked down Gray on behalf of taxpayers and parents like Justin Miller and Dana White, who are worried. They have 2 sons at Northwood Applaud Community Academy, a charter school in East Baltimore, but next month, NACA is set to shut down.
Okay. They're going to shut it down. Why? Keep going.
City School Boards of Commissioners did not review its charter.
Okay. Why?
Even though the school received,
Okay.
I feel like it's a slap in the face to us, White told Project Baltimore.
These 2 parents said the investigative arm of Fox 5 in Baltimore is a slap in the face. Keep going.
Now the 162 students at first, we're looking for what kind of extracurricular activities they have for my son.
Well, you might want to interview your son, because Pastor Cecil Gray was having extracurricular activities for your son. You understand? That's what you should be asking parents. You understand, about where you're going to put your child. Have you seen a difference in the way your child is behaving? Is somebody acting out all of a sudden? You understand? That's what you need to be finding out from about Pastor Cecil Gray and his failed school. You understand? Keep going.
Underperforming, not NACA. We have outperformed the city in every year of our existence. Dr. Gray told the school board during the meeting he was trying to save his school, but it didn't work.
He Dr. Pastor Cecil Gray.
Kalawakan.
So, but it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Why are they shutting it down? Let's read.
The board voted to shut it down 8-1.
9 board members, 8-1 is over. Keep going.
I'm irate with the school, said White.
Okay.
White is angry because this wasn't supposed to happen. In 2017, NACA won a $1.5 million expansion grant from the U.S. Department of Education. Only 17 charter schools nationwide received the grant. The federal government must have been impressed.
Right.
But 1 year later, city schools shut it down. Project Baltimore wondered, how can that happen? So we took a look at NACA's grant application to see what grant told the federal government to get taxpayers' money.
Uh-oh.
The 60-page application describes a school that has helped students overcome poverty and violence. Apparently, NACA uses Socratic seminars, Salakia.
Ooh, keep going.
And equitable pedagogy.
Hold on. Get your dictionaries out. Get on your phone. I want to know what a Socratic seminar is and equitable pedagogy. We stop right there.
Equitable pedagogy.
Right there. Look up Socratic seminar. Look it up. This is what they found on his application and the techniques that he was employing in the classroom. One of them sounds suspicious. I just might need a goddamn dictionary, okay? I got this dictionary over here. I'm fit to use it. All right? Socratic, a follower of Socrates, Socratic irony,
Socratic seminars.
Okay? Of or related to Socrates, his followers, or his philosophical method of systematic doubt and questioning of another to elicit a clear expression of a truth supposed to be implicitly known by all rational beings. Okay? So Socratic seminar. Drop it on me. You got it too? I thought brother had it. Go ahead.
The Socratic seminar is a formal discussion based on a text in which the leader asks open-ended questions. Within the context of the discussion, students listen closely to the comments of others, thinking critically for themselves, and articulate their own thoughts and their responses to the thoughts of others.
Okay, it was an open question. What you got?
So basically what he's saying is the questions that he answered, you can't get wrong because of your interpretation.
Well, not quite. It's critical thinking. Somebody can come behind you and blast you if you ain't making sense. So you got to know what you're talking about, right? What I said, it says a clear expression of truth supposed to be implicitly known by all rational beings. You understand? Meaning that whatever it is that you are saying about this open-ended question, any logical-minded person should know that what I'm saying, it fits with this, with what his question is talking about.
Okay.
So it's like a social open debate on the matter.
Yeah, if they in class, he asks a question, and everybody is asked to participate and add their thing to it. It's like a building session, right?
Come on.
What does the other one mean?
Equitable.
Equitable?
Equitable. Pedagogy. It's a lot. Pedagogy. Equitable pedagogy.
Mm-hmm. I got it. You don't got it.
I didn't want to leave the page.
No sweat. Stay there. But he's teaching multiculturalism, right?
Kind of one kind.
All right. If this loads up, I'll be able to tell you. To consistently perform in city and state peers, right? Equity pedagogy as defined as teaching strategies in classroom environments that help students from diverse racial, ethnic, and cultural groups attain the knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to function effectively within and create and perpetuate a just, humane, and democratic society. In other words, equity pedagogy intends to challenge fundamental societal structures of inequity by equipping students with basic skills which will help them be facilitators for social change. Homosexuality. And lesbianism.
Kind of one kind.
It says that attributes of open pedagogy, and it gives the different things.
Keep going.
It says participatory technology, people openness, trust, innovation and creativity, sharing ideas and resources, connected community, learner-generated, reflective practice, and peer review.
Okay. One of the primary methods of teaching in equity pedagogy is fostering cooperative learning groups rather than having competition-based learning. Okay. In fact, studies show that academic achievement of African American and Mexican American students is increased when cooperative teaching activities and strategies rather than competitive ones are used in instruction. All right. So you understand. In the UPK, you get the answers. Okay. Keep reading.
To consistently outperform its city and state peers.
You understand? The 45-year-old teacher, 45 years that the other teacher claimed that everybody's poor and everything is not working. I wonder what technique is she using in her classroom. You understand? Keep going.
Page 11 of the application shows NACA 2013 reading scores were 8 points higher than the state average. Sounds impressive, except it's not true.
Keep going.
Fox 45 pulled the data from the State Department of Education. NACA reading scores were actually 15 points below the state average.
Damn. Question, comment?
So does that mean he must have had somebody in the system?
I don't know. He lied. Past pastor lied.
He lied.
He lied.
It means according to academic credentials, they failed the state academic test.
Yeah, they-
No answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
But what I'm saying though, he lied.
He lied on the
He
application.
also had to connect to get his application through because you can't just.
Yeah, we don't know who he knows, but we're gonna see what we can find out. You understand? In case we got to put in a 60-page goddamn application to get 1.5 million.
Gotta want to come. Gotta want to come.
To do nothing.
Gotta want to come.
We ain't gonna lie though. You understand?
The graph on the next page is similar.
Don't make me go get our GED numbers on you. You understand? We got some GED numbers, okay? Ours is all true. You understand? Keep going.
The application claims NACA's 2013 math scores was 6 points better than Maryland's average, but state data shows they're actually points below. What about suspicions NACA reported to the
Suspensions.
Salakia? What about suspensions? NACA reported to the federal government 7 suspensions over the past 5 years, which is much lower than the state averages. But when Project Baltimore pulled city school records, we counted 51 suspensions.
They only had 163 students. God damn. Half the goddamn class, you know what I'm saying, was getting suspended every damn week. Keep going.
We counted 51 suspensions at NACA in the 5 years leading up to the grant.
Keep going. Lying ass, goddamn doctor, reverend, pastor. Ooh, boy, oh boy. Gray. Keep going.
In his application, Dr. Gray says he communicates with families using the NACA mobile app.
Oh, he was high tech. He has an app for the parents to take home, to communicate with the goddamn the parents, you understand, tell them about how their students is doing in class, review the homework assignment and everything. Come on.
So we downloaded the app and found nothing. It wasn't set up.
He lied again. Keep going.
Also, in the application, NACA found the federal government, it plans to have nearly 1,000 students enrolled in 3 schools by 2021.
Okay.
And the grant would help get them there. The problem is, NACA doesn't have 3 schools. It never did.
It said at the beginning he had 2 schools?
Count out of one come.
Okay.
The third was supposed to be built in West Baltimore, but it was never approved.
Okay, so he just lied on the application. Keep going.
Where is this money going? Asked Miller.
So he got the 1.5 million the year before.
Count out of one come.
He got the 1.5. He like Pew. He like Pew. You understand? Keep going.
If you got this money last year, y'all can't even keep the grass cut.
Uh-oh. And the school was a hot ass mess in front of the goddamn school. He can't even keep with somebody cutting the guy. He need to hire one of his Mexican brothers or what have you to cut the grass. You bastard. Keep going.
The kids are playing in dirt in the back in wood chips.
Oh my goodness. You understand? The playground is not properly built and maintained. Keep going.
These kids can't even go on a field trip.
They ain't been nowhere. He ain't took them nowhere. Hold on. Why is they mad that they closing down the school? The parents is trying to side with the pastor all of a sudden. But who is saying all these things now? Who is Miller?
The parents are angry because they know that he got all of this money, yet they shutting down the school, and they can't understand why with all this money.
Who is this Miller? I hear you.
Miller is Miller is one of the Project Baltimore investigation.
Okay, so
That's what-
yeah, you gotta. The white man, he's vicious. You understand?
Kinda want to come.
He's vicious. So he's saying all of this stuff. Hold on to it. Keep going.
These kids can't even go on a field trip. My son is 10 years old and they haven't even taken him to the aquarium.
Okay, hold on, no. Miller must be somebody else because they talking about they child is at school. Okay, yeah, Miller was one of the Justin Miller. Justin Miller is one of the parents.
Cut on, come.
He's one of the parents. No,
Salaki.
Keep going.
I'm really angry now. This is crazy. Project Baltimore tried to get answers from NACA's founder, Dr. Gray.
Dear Dr. Pastor Gray, come on.
We emailed 3 times with no reply. We started calling his attorney and his cell phone. We called his church, Northwood United Methodist.
Northwood United Methodist Church.
And both his schools, NACA and its high school, NACA 2.
You understand? He got 2 schools. You understand? Read on.
In the messages later, we heard nothing.
Ooh-wee.
So we started knocking. First at Gray's house, then both schools and his church. We left business cards and more messages. Still, we heard nothing. We wanted to know, did Gray misrepresent his school to get $1.5 million grant? So we waited for him outside his church for 2 days. When finally arrived,
when Grant finally arrived, read on.
He quickly left in.
He rolled the hell out.
We tailed him to a small parking lot where we finally got a chance to approach him. We tried to ask him questions, but without saying anything, he drove away. So why did North Avenue shut down NACA even after it received a $1.5 million grant? And did the federal government know this could happen before issuing the grant? That part of the story next.
Dr. Gray contacted Fox 45 Monday night and disputed our story, but did not provide specific information. You got more, or that was it?
I can't find. It said next.
I got something. It says the United States Department of Education says it's looking closely into the matter after a series of Project Baltimore reports about hundreds of millions of tax dollars awarded annually to charter schools. Charter schools are meant to foster new ideals in education. They receive tax dollars based on student enrollment and have more freedom to spend that money than traditional schools. But this investigation raises the question whether that freedom comes with enough accountability. Project Baltimore spent the last 5 months going line by line through years of 990, which are financial statement nonprofits file with the IRS every year. We examined 990 filed by Dr. Isupk Bmore, who runs a church, 2 charter schools in Baltimore City, and a foundation in Baltimore County. What we found inside those documents in part is why we spent weeks trying to track down Dr. Gray. A school will disclose things about its finances, but if there is no government agency with the power and resources to actually examine the disclosures, they're not very meaningful, said Susan Jark, a local professor at Temple University. For the past 15 years, Jark has written extensively about oversight and accountability of charter schools, and 990s are one of her topics. Somebody's got to 19 were under federal investigation. God. That could reduce the number of expensive investigations.
I found it, sir.
Come.
I certainly would never say all of them were criminal. That's absolutely not true, the juror says. But it's troubling because the possibility for misuse seems high. Last June, the Baltimore City School Board voted unanimously to deny Gray's application to reopen NACA 3, a charter school in West Baltimore.
NACA 3, yeah.
To open NACA 3, Salakia, a charter school in West Baltimore. In January, the board voted 8-1 to shut down his first school in Northwest Baltimore. And as all this was happening, Gray School was collecting a $1.5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education. When Project Baltimore finally caught up with Gray, he wouldn't answer questions about his grant, his schools, his foundation, or his 990s. But here's the story. The 990s tell that could raise some red flags. Gray has a foundation, a school, and a church. His foundation is based in his home. What money goes to his church.
He's like Jermaine Gray. He's like goddamn comfy. Comfy game going on around here. Keep going.
Because his churches don't have to file 990s, but his school and foundations do. Foundations generally rely on donations, but from 2008 to 2017, Gray moved nearly 1.4 million from his schools to his foundation, nearly all its funding, with a stated mission to support development of educational programs and institutions. But almost all of the foundation's money, about 90%, is paid out in salaries. Gray pays himself
$126,500 a year for the foundation grant salary for the foundation 6 figure 126, baby. Keep going.
He pays his employees well. In 2017, the year he won that $1.5 million grant, Gray paid his secretary, treasurer, $56,934 for 1 hour of work.
1 hour of work a week. Damn. You know she had another job. Look, 1 hour of work a week, she got paid 56 G's. 56 G's. Probably was his wife.
That comes to about $1,100 an hour.
God damn. $1,000 an hour. Keep going.
From 2014 to 2016, Gray paid a co-secretary an average a week, which is about $142 an hour.
I got holes in different area codes.
Yeah, we go there.
Yeah. Keep going.
We can't see that any money other than salaries in 2017 was actually spent on the foundation's stated mission of educational programs or institutions. City schools declined an interview with Project Baltimore to discuss its charter review process, but told us 990s are not part of it.
They couldn't figure out the formula, so the 990s are not part of the formula. We don't review the 990s, but since this story got out, we got to close him down. What have you?
The early 90s, maybe a school on the verge of shutting down wouldn't receive a $1.5 million grant.
They got them. The 990s. Keep going.
1999 to 2005 years, the Department of Education tells Fox 45 all grant applications go through a vigorous peer review process. But because of its investigation, it's looking to improve that process and how grant applications are reviewed and scored.
Crooks. Crooks, crooks, crooks. Every facet of this system is crooked. You understand? That's what you mean.
Dark age class, sir, like a little bit off the topic. To kind of show our rulership,
Okay.
which happened during the Renaissance.
Go to the one in Revelations.
Kind out of one come.
The one that said he was loose for 1,000 years.
There it is.
Kind out of one come.
What? No. Fine. Do that. Stay focused.
The Revelations 20 and 7, sir.
Read that.
Kind out of one come. Revelations 20 and 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, God and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
So it's just giving the prophecy about how after 1,000 years, the white man, 1,000 years was the dark age, so-called dark ages. You understand, where there was rulership from the so-called Negro being called a lord, being called, kings and queens of France, Spain, Portugal. It was black people all in those areas. We went into captivity in the Roman Empire, you understand, and we were in Europe in many instances. You get this book right here. Into No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. You understand? And it'll give you many accounts. Let's give you one account. Let's see if I got it written. Page 76.
The one that you really was talking about was Revelation 20 and 1 to 4.
That was the one. 1,000 years was the one. You have another one?
Coming up on. It says Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
He got bound 1,000 years. Okay. Christ in his death, you understand, spurred the destruction of the Roman Empire. You understand, meaning that it was, wiped out based off of the ability of quote unquote Christianity to capture the minds of the people. Even so much so that the white man had to begin to decide to try to join it in themselves. Just like how, what was the cat's name? Was it Pilate? No, I don't know. It wasn't Pilate. It was Agrippa. Agrippa was like, shit, you almost make me want to be a Christian, or what have you. What you saying, or what have you. So, in a lot of aspects, you understand, that's exactly what happened. You understand? They just lost hold of it with Constantine. He got into all these councils and ended up combining it back with pagan beliefs or what have you. You understand? And it moved forward after that. You understand? But doing those battles of those heresies coming out, the white man was locked up. You understand? He was not in rulership in many aspects.
Salakia, if I could, sir.
Let's go.
Constantine, who was Constantine?
He was an emperor he was an emperor.
What was his nationality, sir? Salakia.
Boy, oh boy, Constantine, if I do stand corrected, was black. You understand? But you understand, like King James was black, he didn't have the truth. Constantine was black, but he didn't have the truth. You understand? Just like after a while, you understand, generals in the Roman army, you understand, got famous. How did they get famous? How did Colin Powell get famous? He got up into the white man's military and became a such and such star general, or what have you. Septimius Niger, you understand? And I forget the other. Only if you know it. Only if you know it. So Septimius Niger and is another cat. There were prominent black people that were in the Roman military and also that moved up in the ranks of the government in Rome. You understand? We took seats in being in charge of the Roman Empire at certain times. You understand? Another one in this, is it in this book? I'll show you one.
Come.
Another one in here. Maurice, Saint Maurice. You understand? I don't know if they can see these, but here are, it says on page arms of European cities. Center left, arms of Aragon, Spain. Center right, arms of Commerce, Austria. St. Peter, foremost saint and founder of the Catholic Church. Right. It's shown as a jet black Negro. They knows no color line has pictures of black nobility in the European centers, you understand, showing that we were had rulership during the so-called Dark Ages in many instances. Right? St. George, you can put those in front of the pictures in front of the camera if you can to give them a shot. Go ahead.
Septimius. Was he a gladiator?
No, he was a general.
He was a general.
Yeah, he was a general.
So he was not a gladiator before.
I'm not familiar with that part of his history.
I
was familiar with him being a general, and had pulled in the Roman army. Did you put that in front of the camera?
I got it.
That's one.
That's Saint Maurice.
That's Saint Maurice. You understand? That's Saint George, the Dragon Slayer.
Saint George, the Dragon Slayer.
I got Peter in here, the black man. I got German families. Negroes wearing crowns and Archbishop Mitri. Negro in coats of arms of noble families in Germany. Central European. You understand? Queen Sophia. You understand? They call her a mulatto. You know, when she was black. Queen Charlotte Sophia, consort of George III and grandmother of Queen Victoria. Speaking of Queen Victoria, in that line, what have you, the whole damn country of Canada is shut down for Victoria Day, or what have you. Right today. Speaking of that. Let me see. Question. Comment.
7 minutes, sir.
Comment.
That's a lot.
see if I got anything else in here. So that's the scripture, those two scriptures right there. The Dark Ages scriptures. That's a good, very good one.
Try to bring that out Thursday, sir.
Let's see if I got one more pull in here.
Come on.
Okay. Strabo, 30 BC says the people of Western Judea this is said the people of Western Judea were of part Egyptian ancestry, but he says although the inhabitants are mixed up, thus the most prevalent of the accredited reports in regard to the temple at Jerusalem represents the ancestors of the present Judeans, as they are called Egyptians. Tacitus, about 90 AD, says many assert that the Jews are an Ethiopian race. The Romans to have taken them for Ethiopians is clear indication of their color, since the Ethiopians were definitively black to the Romans. Ancient Jewish legends themselves recognize a Negro strain among the Jews. Genesis 18 reads, when the Jews returned from Babylon, their wives had become brown almost during the years of captivity, and a large number of men divorced their wives. The divorced women married black men, which would, to some extent, account for the existence. This is hogwash. Solomon loved a black Shulamite, and the Song of Songs was written to her. You understand? Let's see. Waite says an interesting graduation of all shades down to the black skin is exhibited by the Jews, especially dark, where the Jews of Spain and Portugal, the Portuguese Jews, were very dark, says Pritchard. The Duchess of Diabrante, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. You understand? This belief, said Barbach, shows what an error most people are in, since he says the German Jews, as for example, those of Prague, are as white as most of their German countrymen. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies. You understand? John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and said that they were Negroid. The Eastern Jews who settled in Austria, Poland, and Russia were Negroid. Count Adam Górski of Poland, who visited the United States in 1857, said the Jews of his country strongly resembled American mulattoes. Numbers of Jews, he said, have the greatest resemblance to the American mulattoes. Sallow complexion, thick lips, crisp black hair of all the Jewish population scattered over the globe, 1/4 dwells in Poland. I am therefore well acquainted with their features. On my arrival in this country, America, I took every light-colored mulatto for a Jew. Considerable Negro strain was found too among the Polish Jews in London. For years, 2 New York white dailies, the News and the Mirror, have been advertising kinky hair straightened permanently in one treatment. The service is for whites only. The customers are probably Jews. A Negro hairdresser in Harlem once had many of them among her customers. Karl Marx, who bore a strong resemblance to Frederick Douglass, undoubtedly came of this Negro stock. His nose was broad, his hair frizzy, and his color so dark, he was called the Moor. Negro strain was even more evident in Ferdinand Lassalle, aristocrat founder of socialism. Marx, his rival, called him a Jewish nigger, a greasy Jew from Brasula, who was always concealing his woolly hair with all kinds of hair oil and makeup. In letters to Engels, March 7, 1856, he said of LaSalle, "It is perfectly obvious from the shape of his head and the way his hair grows that he is descended from Negroes." Another source of considerable Negro strain in the white stock were the black pages, who were common in the families of the nobility and the rich throughout Europe as far north as Russia. These blacks were so used for many centuries, and as late as the First World War, they usually married into white families and are undoubtedly some of the Schwartzman. This is where they get that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a goddamn nigga. And that's on BS. Moors and others in European coats of arms. The park at Isupk, resident of the Prussian rulers, has busts of some of these Negroid favorites. In fact, Negro ancestry crops up in some of the unexpected places, as the Jewish royal family. Bordeaux, its founder, has a slightly Negro strain inherited in southern France, and Gustav IV had considerably more, as I have shown in volume 1 of Sex and Race, another one of J. Rogers' books. Portraits of Gustav IV, especially of him on horseback, by Les Friends the Younger, and now in the private collection of Baron Rommel, leave no doubt of this. In short, Germans are not the pure whites many assert they are. Several German writers agree on that, among them Friedrich Hertz, Grunrod Springer, and Rudolf Rocker. Beethoven, for instance, is named by all three as showing Negro blood. Springer named, among others, Dr. Ernest Schwindinger, 1850-1924, of Italian Negro ancestry, who was professor of dermatology at the University of Berlin and was a private physician to the great German Chancellor Bismarck. Rocker includes Martin Luther and Goethe. He says we need but think of Luther, Goethe, Beethoven, who lacked almost completely the external marks of the Nordic race, and whom even the most outstanding exponents of the race theory characterized as hybrids with Oriental, Levantese, and Negro Malayan strains in them. You understand? Don't be fooled by the word Oriental. It was used for Israel. You understand? That's what they call it, Asia Minor. You understand? Before they even dealt with the Middle East word before. The First World War brought considerable mixing, principally between French Negro soldiers and German women on the Rhine. There's a lot of Negroes spread all over the goddamn place. I'm gonna tell you.
In the sense they was getting the word Berber from, talking about us in particular.
Not Berber. Berbers more likely North Africans, true Africans, or Arabs. Yeah. But when they use the term Moor, it was what have you. We were living in all of those areas when, in 700 AD, when the cats came and killed everybody with the sword, Islam, you understand? That Muhammad garbage or what have you. So I know I ran over my time, but let me give you one more. Dems push probe into Betsy DuVos's personal email use finds no active or extensive misconduct, but the Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, you understand, and her wicked ass policies in the education department is to blame for why we are having these issues. She ain't fixed nothing, you understand? Just like anybody else in the goddamn Trump administration. You understand? They was digging up in her stuff or what have you. But all you have to do is just put her somewhere where a microphone is, and she'll tell you how much she hates niggas and strips. You understand? So with that, shalom.
Security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yohanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves in the world after 6 months. If a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and 3:8-10. Means 10th in the Hebrew is pronounced Ma'asherah. 10th of everything of any increase the Lord gives you to give to the Treasury Department or to breach fund, holy convocation.
Don't worry about that. Move over here. Move over here.
To check the social media such as I.S.U.P.K, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he or she starts to scarf. And with that, we'll give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Imagine. Mayim Shabbat. Imagine. Barak.
How
How about Shem Yahweh Shah Rock Thumb?
Now you can dismiss.